Welcome to The Launch, a podcast where families explore fun and easy ways to build bright financial futures together. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Alfredo. We are here to help parents and kids learn, grow, and save together. So let's blast off into today's topic.
So a little recap, last week we talked about savings accounts at our credit union, and those accounts are for keeping our money safe and letting it grow for emergencies, for a special toy that we're saving up for, or a big purchase. And there's other accounts. And today we're going to be talking about checking accounts. So checking accounts are for our everyday purchases. And I think Alfredo maybe can go into a little bit about what a checking account is, what it's used for, and how it might be helpful on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. So last week we talked about savings, right? We used an analogy of a plant. Well, let's try to do another analogy here. Let's say you're at the beach and you're making sandcastles. And the sandcastle that you're making requires a bucket. You got to get the sand right. Well, in some cases, you need two buckets, right? You need a bucket for the water, a bucket for the sand, or vice versa. So you can think of a checking account as a separate bucket that you will need for other things. Maybe the first bucket's for the sand, and you hold that sand, and the other one's going to be for the water, as I had mentioned. And so that second bucket helps do what you need in that very moment. So a perfect example is sometimes we're hungry and we need to buy lunch. And our lunch, we use our checking account, not our savings, because we know that we're saving for the future. So it's more for an immediate expense. What do you think? Did I miss something there?
No, I think you got it spot on. I think that we can even say that the checking account is a tool to make sure we're not affecting our savings because we have it in that separate bucket. So we can keep our savings goal separate and know what we have to spend or what we've budgeted for spending in our checking account. So I think it's an awesome tool to keep everything separate and make sure we're staying on track with our savings goals.
So I have a question for you, Frankie. What is maybe another example on how somebody uses a checking account? We talked about, those expenses. What are some examples you think would be helpful?
Those everyday expenses, kids, when you see your parents at a store or at an ATM, if they're using a plastic debit card to get cash or a plastic debit card to pay for gas or groceries, that's using our checking account. So that plastic debit card is actually linked to your checking account, and you're taking money out of your checking account without actually having the cash with you. So it's another way that keeps your money safe. So you can have your money to use on a day-to-day basis without having to carry that cash with you, which is a lot safer.
Absolutely. So this is a great way to use an account. We talked about savings accounts last week, and so that is one big difference between a savings and a checking account. One other big difference is that sometimes the checking accounts have different features. Nowadays, with technology so popular, you have different types of features like Zelle where you do people-to-people transfers. And so accessing your funds has never been easier, and checking accounts is one of the most common ways that you can do that. I do have another question for you, Frankie, and this may bring you back to your banker days. How old do you have to be to open a checking account?
So at Premier America Credit Union, you have to be 13 years old to open a checking account, and that's with a responsible adult being a joint owner. So parents can rest at ease knowing that they're able to see everything going on with the account and help build those good habits early on. So you use Smart Savings, and then at 13, you can add on that checking account. The youth gets their own debit card, which is great because they're learning how to use that tool. And they can go in and they can make deposits and withdrawals by themselves at 13 as well. So they're able to learn how to go in and talk to a teller and do those transactions, which is super awesome. So, and parents are able to see it all in the online banking app, which is great too. So it's a very responsible way to teach your kids how to use a checking account. I think that's super, super awesome.
I love that. So it's safe. The parents have ways to look at it. So if there's anybody listening that it's around that age frame of 13, 14, and you want to get your hands on and get experience, this is a perfect way to do so. I don't know if that's our challenge. Maybe I'm jumping ahead, but do we have a challenge for this week?
We do have a challenge, and it's to get a piece of paper out, parents and kids, and have two columns, and we're going to talk about and draw or write what would you use your checking account for? What would you use your savings account for? So if the kids, if you don't want to write or if you want to draw, go ahead and draw those items under the checking account. What would you use a checking account for on a daily basis? Gas, groceries, candy, snacks, maybe. And then on the savings account side, maybe we're drawing or writing what we're saving for: a new bike, a special new toy, an emergency, or a gift for a family member. So that's our challenge this week, is to write or draw.
So if you're listening closely, Frankie gave you a ton of hints on how you can do this. So, if you didn't rewind it, listen to it again. This, again, a great way for you to engage with your little one and having these conversations. And, that friendly reminder that the sooner we can start having these conversations, the better that we can influence them and leading to better financial habits.
Awesome. Well, we will catch you same time next week. And be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe.